Today was a hugely symbolic day for the British monarchy as Prince Charles stepped in for the Queen at the state opening of Parliament. It's the first time in 59 years that Her Majesty has missed the event. It gave Charles a taste of his future role as King.
My Lords and members of the House of Commons, Her Majesty's government's priority is to grow and strengthen the economy and help ease the cost of living for families.
Well, I'm joined now by the noted British historian Sir Anthony Seldon. Good evening to you, Sir Anthony. It was a remarkable morning, wasn't it, to watch this moment, which has never happened in my lifetime, to put it into historical context, but to see Prince Charles sitting in for his Queen and his mother, of course, at the state opening of Parliament was a big, big moment for this country.
Yeah, it was a shock after 59 years, that's about your age, Piers, and a bit, to see somebody else other than the monarch who has been reading out the Queen's speech, her speech, but not written by her. To have somebody else doing it was a significant moment. But I didn't think it was yet a historic moment. Is
there any chance at all, do you think, that the Queen might abdicate before she dies naturally and passes the baton to her son? Because I've always been told by those who are plugged into the royals that that would never be an option that they would take.
Well, she is 96, and that's old by anybody's standards, and most people aged 96 are not doing a pretty full-time job. And there would be two reasons why that might happen, why she might abdicate, or why there might be a regency, as there had been between 1811 and 1820 in Britain, where the monarch then went mad, George III, and handed over effectively all power of the monarch to his son, George IV, who became the monarch in 1820. I mean, you know, that could happen, Piers, but it would need either severe physical infirmity or her losing her mental faculties. I mean, what is very clear is that she ain't going to give up. She has no intention of doing that. She said very clearly at the start of her reign that she would reign to the very end. But for her losing her capacity or physically something going very wrong, and her mother lived till over 100, let's remember, that's just not going to happen.
The Queen has also reigned for over 70 years now, making her the longest reigning British monarch. Is she the greatest British monarch?
Well, the two you'd compare her to, I guess, would be Elizabeth I, who reigned for well over 40 years, and Queen Victoria, who reigned for some 60 between 1837 and 1901. And I mean, it was different, wasn't it? Because Elizabeth I, the Armada, England had a different position in the world. The monarchy had unrivaled power. The monarchy ran the government then, as doesn't happen now. So it's difficult always over history to make comparisons. But I think she was incomparably a greater figure than Queen Victoria. Let's remember when Queen Victoria's husband, Albert, died at the beginning of the 1860s, she went into mourning for a long time. Yeah. Look at the way that the Queen has responded with her extraordinary commitment to her duty. I mean, she's very, very sad, deeply. We feel that. We can see that losing Philip, but no sense of retreating into black and into mourning and, frankly, self-pity as Victoria did, prolonging it for that long. So I think she's certainly a much more effective monarch than Victoria, although, again, that was a different age. I think she's up there. You know, she's up there with the greatest monarchs of all time, William I, Henry V, with Agincourt, Henry VIII, though he wasn't very kind to his wives. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, Piers, I mean, we are still living, we are blessed to be living at the time of one of the greatest monarchs. Impossible.
Well, she's certainly the greatest of my
ever.
Lifetime, because she's the only one I've had in my lifetime, and that in itself is a remarkable fact. Sir Anthony, great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
So is Prince Charles ready to be king, or is this the beginning, potentially, of the end of the British monarchy? This is the debate raging everywhere at the moment. And joining me now to discuss it, author and journalist Tony Parsons, political activist Kate Smurthwaite. Well, welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kate, let me start with you. We just had a historian put it into perspective. The Queen, one of the all-time great monarchs, indisputably. If you're ranking monarchs, she'd be right up there. To me, number one. But, you know, there's some other compelling candidates. You don't like the concept of the monarchy, right?
Yeah, it's not that I don't dislike that elderly lady. That would be ridiculous. But I just think it's 2022, and the time for having a monarchy was a few centuries back. And I think if anything has shown that, it's the recent Caribbean tour, isn't it? I mean, how patronising to have the British royal family wandering around the Caribbean, expecting people to bow and scrape in front of them. And I think brilliant that people all across the Caribbean kicked back and said, hold on a minute, do you not understand the history and what this represents? And I think that the history of what the monarchy represents is no less of an issue in this country where, you know, the working classes, the proletariat have been continuously oppressed by this structure of the class system and the monarchy at the top of it. And I think it's about time that we all move on. And interestingly, you know, here I am, you're asking my opinion about the monarchy. Here's how the monarchy works. We are the riffraff. We are the bottom of the pile. We don't get an opinion. If you want an opinion on who should be monarch, then you, like me, want a republic.
Hang on, you're getting an opinion right now. Tony Parsons.
But that's my point.
A, do you identify as riffraff? And B, nobody knows the working class mentality of this country better than you do. You've written about it for decades. What do you think about that?
Well,
I mean, there are young people. There's no unquestionably there are young people. A lot of them fueled by Meghan Markle's claims of racism and so on at the palace and so on, who have turned against the idea of a monarchy.
I think the working class have always seemed quite keen on the monarchy to me. When I was a young punk in 1977 hanging out with the Sex Pistols, it was the working class who wanted to give us a good kicking for disrespecting the Queen. I think that the Queen, with her 70-year reign, has secured the monarchy for the next 100 years or so. I don't think anybody alive in this country today will live in a republic. She's made the case for the monarchy, and she's an exceptional woman. And circumstances were exceptional. She was so young when she came to the throne. She's lived such a long time, and I think that combination of stamina and substance, and I think she's got better. And I think she's got better with age since she jumped out of a helicopter before the 2012 London Olympics.
With Daniel Gray.
Through to the height of the pandemic, the 75-year anniversary of the
She was amazing in the pandemic. I would say, Kate, to you, I mean, I know the argument they're not elected people, but I look at our elected officials. I look at Boris Johnson, Keir Starmer, squabbling over who may have broken more lockdown rules, who may have betrayed the trust of the people more. And you look at the Queen, who for 70 years has held that trust, has kept our respect.
Well, I'm not sure that that's always been the case. There have definitely been times when I've been like, really? She's meeting the leaders of Saudi Arabia? Has she looked at the Amnesty International reports on their human rights record? There are definitely times when I've been like, actually, I'm not totally sure that she's doing the right thing or shaking hands with the right people. But the fact that there are elected officials who are terrible, and I'm in no disagreement with you that there's no shortage of those, I don't think that the answer is, well, let's just decide that democracy doesn't work and throw it out. It's very ironic, actually, to have seen Prince Charles today saying this government, Her Majesty's government, will uphold democracy around the world. And you're like, but you're the embodiment of us not having democracy.
But in a way, Tony Parsons, they're figureheads above our democratic system. Well, they're not elected, but they do pay for themselves. And I always make this argument to American friends who say, well, they must cost a fortune. Well, they do, but they also get it back from the huge tourism they attract, not least from the United States.
You know,
hang on, let Tony respond.
The Queen has been there for 14 prime ministers, seen them come and seen them go. And even prime ministers that won 3 general elections like Thatcher or Blair, they seem like footnotes in that 70-year reign. And I think the fact that I understand what Kate's saying about shaking the hands with Saudi Arabians, but one of the great things about her is she's got this genius for having the poker face, that she hasn't picked and choose the war. You know, we don't fancy your human rights record. She's met the lot. She's met all
Jimmy
of them.
Savile, the lot.
No, she's. I think most British people would prefer a monarch that can meet any head of state, any
41%
dictator,
of British people are not really in favour of a
rather than
monarchy.
pick and choose about, because then that's where you get Meghan Markle and Harry. We can't meet Trump. We won't. And it just seems pathetic. It doesn't seem noble. It doesn't seem virtuous.
Oh, to me, refusing to meet Trump seems pretty noble.
Well, it does, but it's the moment you start picking and choosing which difficult world leaders you're not going to meet, then you're
so
making
much
a
of the
political
world is not free.
calculation.
Well, so you'd have Putin on this show, would you?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
You
God,
could- what,
it would be
really?
No question.
Wow.
No
But
question.
like, wouldn't you think? Hold on a minute, he's committing.
No, I
human
think,
rights
hold on a minute, I'm
atrocities.
going to ask you some tough questions. In fact...
But don't you think that there's something more significant we should do than ask him a poking question with a pen? Don't you think we should...
Actually, right now, I'm about to interview official spokesman for the Taliban. Are you saying I shouldn't be doing that?
Well, I'm not sure that... I mean, sure, if you're going to absolutely nail them, but if you're going to give them a space to expound their views and their opinions, yes, stand back and I'll do it. Hell yeah. Don't ask me twice.
I will
Piers,
do what I always
really
do, which is I will ask the questions I think people want to have answered. But I don't see any reason why I wouldn't interview Vladimir Putin or why I wouldn't interview my next guest, which is the official spokesman for the Taliban. Tony, final question. Is this country ready for the Queen passing? Because it's going to be such an enormous moment.
I don't think we're ever going to be ready because I think she's an impossible act to follow. And I think that King Charles III and King William IV will never be and could never mean what she means to the people because she goes right back to the Second World War. She goes right back to that. I mean, you said last night on this show, there's never been a time when she wasn't on the throne. I'm 10 years older than you, and there's never been a time
You're looking
when
about 10 years younger, by the way. That's his boxing training. We've got Lennox Lewis on there, and he'll be keen on your training regime because you never get any older. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Tony. Great to see you again.